Only 1 minute.
Where is everybody?
Hey, this is good for a Thursday or
I'm going by the clock that's on my computer. That one may be
Then
slow.
1 minute.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February 6th, 2023 City Commission regular meeting. We would like to thank everyone at home that is watching. We appreciate your patience in watching with us. And also for those in the audience, we thank you for being here with us. As we begin tonight, we'd like to begin our meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we are gathered is the territory of the Ottawa and Chippewa peoples who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We thank you for your strength and resilience in protecting this land and inspiring us to uphold our responsibilities to do the same. As we go through our discussion tonight with each other, may we do so with respect, dignity, and patience and charity for each other. With that, may we open this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Ms. Colburn, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes, good evening, Commissioner Werner.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shamrow.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, here.
Commissioner Stanley.
Here.
Commissioner Treadwell.
Here.
Commissioner Colbert.
Here.
And Mayor Lewis.
Here. Okay, announcements from the city manager.
A couple of items. This Thursday, the Grand Traverse Board of Public Works is meeting Thursday at Garfield Township at 9 a.m. And because there's not been a meeting, they'd canceled the last two meetings. It's a pretty significant agenda. One of the things that we'll be starting to have a dialogue on is the structure of the BPW and the Drain Commissioner. There's another model used downstate in a couple of counties as to working with the Drain Commissioner and having some oversight and interacting and interfacing with. So we'll learn more about that process as we go. The next item is I was asked to just give a very brief update in regard to some of the grants and grant writings in terms of the grant writers that we have on board. We've had Carl Ferguson on board. We've utilized Kate Madigan and another gentleman by the name of Kerry Thompson. And we're interviewing an individual by the name of Christy McLaw, who has great familiarity with the city. So that'll give you a little bit of an update of what we're doing. We've obviously ongoing of putting in for different grants, and we hope to be successful by the end of the year of things rolling back in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Announcements from the city clerk.
Yes, some meetings to announce for this week. The week of February 6th, the Planning Commission will meet on Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m. in the training room on the second floor of the Governmental Center. The Arts Commission Rotating Arts Subcommittee will meet on Wednesday, February 8th. That'll be at 3:30 p.m. in the committee room on the second floor of the Governmental Center. And then the City Commission's Primary EMS Transport Ad Hoc Committee will meet on Thursday, February 9th at 9:45 a.m. in the second floor committee room here in the Governmental Center. Just some community updates. We have opened up our first ever application acceptance window for the first ever City Academy, which we presented to the City Commission a couple of weeks ago. This is a great opportunity for folks to get a glimpse into what it takes to make the city happen and be more informed, and also help us be more informed about them. It's a 5-week, 8-session program starting April 18th. So 5 weeks, 8 sessions, beginning April 18th. And again, applications are being accepted through this month. And folks can find those applications on the city's website, or they can call our office to talk about City Academy if they've got any questions about it. And then we want to, of course, thank our snowmakers at Hickory Hills. This past weekend at Hickory, 2 additional runs were opened up, and those were Birch and Jack's Trail. And more information, as always, regarding Hickory can be found at traversitymi.gov/Hickory Hills. And then talking about outdoors, the city opened ice skating rinks at F&M Park and the park near Thurlby Field this past weekend. So those have opened up. And then we want to remind residents and business owners to keep their sidewalks clear of snow and ice, and also to shovel out your fire hydrants and your neighbors' fire hydrants if they're unable, so that when moments are precious, the fire department can quickly do their important work. And then lastly, we're excited to announce that there's a new interactive map for the capital improvements plan. That's a 6-year plan that goes out into the future that forecasts major capital improvement plan initiatives, and it's a visual experience. You can click on different elements of the map and find out some key information. And that's on the city's website. And then the last thing I have is just to remind everybody up here to speak into the microphone. And that's all that I've got. Thank you.
Well, while you're on a roll there, why don't you go ahead and do the consent calendar?
I will do that. The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public can ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed from it and placed elsewhere on the agenda for individual consideration by the commission, and such requests are automatically respected. If an item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. Item 1, consideration of approving the minutes of the January 17 and January 23rd, 2023 meetings of the City Commission. Approval recommended. Item 2, consideration of authorizing an amendment to the consultant agreement for structural and foundation repair services to the Clinch Park Harbor Master Building. Approval recommended. Item 3, consideration of authorizing an amendment to the funding agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to extend the time frame in which its $30,000 grant for assisting with the development of the Mobility Action Plan must be expended from September 30, 2023 to July 31st, 2024. Approval recommended. Item 4, consideration of approving the Brown Bridge Quiet Area Management Plan as recommended by the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee. Item 5, consideration of adopting to make permanent traffic control orders as follows. Number 691, which provides a stop for pedestrians within crosswalk sign on Hall Street near the Beta Transfer Station. Number 694, which requires an all-way stop at the intersection of Wayne Street and Madison Street. Number 695, which removes the no parking, loading, and unloading only signs at 115 Hall Street near the northerly bus exit. Number 696, which provides for public parking on the city-owned lot near Bayview Church and north of Wayne Street. Number 697, which requires an all-way stop at the intersection of State Street and Franklin Street. Number 698, which prohibits parking on the east and west side of Gillis Street north of Front Street and in the alley north of Gillis Street, east of the intersection, on the east and west side of the approach into the freshwater condominiums on the south side of the alley. And number 700, which prohibits parking from here to corner on the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Cedar Street and 3rd Street. Adoption recommended. And finally, item 6, consideration of authorizing retiring police service canine dog Drago to be sold for $1 to his handler, Officer Adam Vershave. Approval recommended.
Okay. Anyone from the commission like to have an item removed from the consent calendar? Yes, sir.
Items 4 and 5, please.
Item 4 and 5. Okay. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to have an item removed from the consent calendar? Okay. With that, yes.
Item 6.
Did you have your hand up earlier?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Nice. Okay. Items 4, 5, and 6. Okay. All right. With that, I will be glad to entertain a motion for what's left.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar as amended.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, item number 4, which is the consideration of approving the Brown Bridge Quiet Area Management Plan as recommended by the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee. Mr. Warner?
Yeah, I mean, I like that we have a plan coming in front of us. I had some concerns about it. I did reach out, and staff has responded to address some of those concerns, but really haven't had enough time to engage completely. But I'll just share my concerns. The first is the seeking of additional lands. I think it really behooves us to better define what that is, especially in light of the distance that this area is from the city. So we're not, there are other parties with interests out there, many other parties. And so I'm more in favor of making this the highest quality at the size it is than increasing the quantity, because then we're on the hook in perpetuity for that quantity. So I'm just a little bit troubled with the open nature of that, the text. The second item is, I think it would be important, given what this body and previous city commissions have stated as far as climate change, and we've had discussions about the oil and gas royalties from Brown Bridge, to have something in here acknowledging that all of this is made possible by oil. Kind of a, maybe we're torn, maybe we're not. I'm torn. Like, yes, I'm not saying let's stop the oil and gas today or tomorrow, because we can't. Our legal counsel has told us we can't. But I feel we should at least acknowledge that in some way in here, that, hey, that's what's making all this possible, as well as many other things in Traverse City. And just, we acknowledge that. It's not maybe the best situation to be in, but that's what the reality is. And then finally, under natural resources, items K and M, it doesn't sit well with me to be clearing portions of the quiet area. I understand it's for habitat, and it's a more active approach to managing wildlife. Just my personal take on it, I'm more favorable to letting Mother Nature handle habitat. So that's it, that's all.
Anybody, you got some comments on that?
Yes, speaking as a person that does have a professional and academic background in natural resources management, I can say that if we're looking at metrics of species diversity or general habitat richness, that it is important to maintain forest openings, speaking to the management practices in K and M. Otherwise, you do have succession, which is, yes, a part of the natural process, but it doesn't create either the diversity of age stands for the trees that you're talking about, nor does it have the appropriate edge habitat that many species benefit from. As a key example, the Kirtland's warbler, which isn't present in this habitat, but is present in northern Michigan, is reliant on jack pine stands of between 10 and 25 years old that have significant openings in that stand. There are other species, deer are one that people see essentially every day, that depend on a certain mix of wooded habitat and open habitat that my reading of this management plan seeks to maintain. And it also helps to maintain overall species diversity for the birds that people can see, the wildflowers that people might encounter in the spring, and overall natural beauty.
Yes, ma'am.
So I actually appreciate, shouldn't say actually, that makes it sound like it's very exceptional. I appreciate Commissioner
All right,
Warner's
let's
point
start
about
that over again.
point about the oil production. I think, though, the one thing I will say to that is we do ask citizens to vote on how that money is spent and acknowledge, as we're running that campaign, that is where the money comes from. So because that comes back to voters every few years, I appreciate Commissioner Warner's comments, but I do think that we keep that pretty front and center in our discussions, and every time it's spent on any of the park projects, that is indicated that it comes from the Brown Bridge Fund, and that is from our oil, the oil that we take from there. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, but I am going to go ahead and make the motion that the City Commission approve the Brown Bridge Quiet Area Management Plan as presented at the February 6, 2023 City Commission meeting.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Okay. Anyone from the audience would like to add anything before we take any further action on this? Okay. All right, we have a motion. We have support. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we then have item number 5, consideration of a number of traffic control orders which we like to make permanent. I'm not going to read through them all. So, Mr. Warner?
Yeah, so the one that I pulled it for was number 698, which is the parking, actually it's two things, parking along Gillis as well as the alley perpendicular and north of Gillis. And there's no parking allowed in alleys anyhow. But it's the parking along Gillis, and I've walked it in the past week just to see it. And hard to tell with all the construction going on, but there certainly are a lot of driveways, which it's illegal to block a driveway anyhow. And to me, it seems like overreaction is not the right word, but kind of well, if you guys can't figure it out, there just won't be parking for anyone sort of approach to it. Like there feels like there should be some parking spots along there that are legal parking spots. Granted, most of it is not legal for parking, but to just make a blanket, there will be no, we talk about parking all the time, and to just take away viable legal parking because it's easier just to say, well, fine, nobody gets to park there. It seemed like an overreaction to me.
Okay.
I'd be curious to hear from, I don't know if it'd be Penny, because she's on the traffic committee, or someone else wants to address it, why that was decided it needed to be itemized as well.
Penny Hill, Assistant City Manager.
Sure, I'm Penny Hill, Assistant City Manager, and the Traffic Committee talked about this quite frequently and for a long time. There were a number of complaints from residents living in that area that people were parking, especially with the construction. And the Gillis Street is a very narrow street. So there were issues with people even trying to there were so many cars parked there that they couldn't even pass one car through. And so this was an attempt to make sure that at least traffic going north and south could get through that street.
So I guess I'd have a follow-up question, because I do drive down the street somewhat frequently, a couple times a month usually at least. So I understand the logic of that, because I too encountered some of the work cars and frankly giant trucks just blocking the whole road. But so I'm curious why it wasn't decided then that like east or west side would be allowable, but if not, why was that instead of both, just getting rid of both?
It was because of mostly because of the condos and the housing. It was just easier to do it this way, and it seemed like it was more fair to do it this way.
And I guess I have a different approach to the question than Commissioner Warner does, because I do know that there's a couple of businesses there, like Goodyear, that do have customers use the side of the street a little beyond their property line and pull off to the side there. So my only hesitation on this is that would seem to be hampering the business, the business on the corner, both businesses on the corner, actually. I've seen people use that especially in the summer when there's excess.
On the south side? Is that
On
what you're talking
both
about?
sides. Right at the Front Street intersection.
Okay, so those, I know we have talked to, staff has talked to, not me personally, talked to the business on, let's see, that would be the north of Front, but on the, I'm sorry. If you're looking at the picture, it'd be southwest. And those are actually, if you see the cars parked there, those are encroaching right into the way into the right of way. The building itself is almost at the right of way itself. So those spots are, we talked to the owner, and they are going to be using parallel parking in those areas.
So what you just said, so that goes into the right of way, but on the side closest to that building there,
Yes.
that space actually belongs to the building then?
No,
Okay, so they'd be parallel parking though on the right-of-way,
yes.
despite this traffic order that we're about to pass?
Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was one of the options that we talked about. This was, all of those letter A's would be no parking. And then in front of the buildings, yes, they would have like a couple of parallel parking spots that would be marked.
Did anybody else have a question? I was
Yeah,
going to make a motion.
Is most of this being caused because of the construction at this point?
For the most part, but the feeling of the residents is that because of the condos, there would be ongoing problems even after construction is done.
What
So
about the rest of the
we-
residents that may come along when the condos are done? What about the residents that are going to be living there when the condos are done? I would say that
I'm gonna
we
make the
keep
motion
this,
without
I would
698.
make this that this continues on as a temporary until the constructions are done. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even deal with this.
I was going to say, I'm going to make the motion for, and I appreciate that you asked the clarifying questions, Mayor. But I'll make the motion then that the traffic orders numbers 691, 694, 695, 696, 697, and 700 be adopted and made permanent as outlined in the Assistant City Manager's January 6, 2023 communication. And just, this isn't part of the motion, but just add that, if that, after revisiting it after construction, that seems to come back, certainly, but the fact that the very north, the part by front would be accepted anyways, kind of makes it kind of
Okay.
a little too squishy for me anyways.
I don't think that needs to be in the motion. You do.
I said I didn't want it in the motion, I said I was
Yeah,
making the
okay,
comment.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. You can extend it as a
Squishy. I want a motion
temporary
squishy.
while the construction's going on, but
Okay.
that's up to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
You make a motion?
I
We
make
have
a
a motion.
Support.
We have support. Anyone from the audience like to ask any questions? The students in the back would ask questions, but the sooner we get them out of here, the happier they will be.
They picked a really good meeting, I
They
feel
picked a
like.
good meeting, and I don't blame them. I told them they were the highest ranking people in their class, so they were already. Anyway, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay. And last but not least, item number 6.
Mitch wants to take
You don't
somebody's
like
dog.
dogs?
What's with taking
Come
the
on.
dog
No,
off?
what's the dog? Come on.
Plus, if you say you wanted to go to auction.
No, it's just that they're both in the summary and the memo itself. It's unclear the name of the dog, whether it is named after an antagonist in a Rocky movie or a quasi-antagonist in the Harry Potter movies.
It's Draco and
yeah.
I would say that Commissioner Treadwell could ask that question without pulling it next time.
If I may state that Drago from the Traverse City Police Department is a hero.
Yes, there you go, not a
Make
villain.
the motion.
Yeah, but I would like to say in the future, I would like police dogs to be named after positive characters.
That's not your, go ahead.
But at the mayor's urging, I will make the recommendation that the Traverse City Police Department be authorized to retire the surplus police service canine Drago and approve the sale to handler Officer Vashave for $1 effective February 6, 2023.
I support that.
Poor puppy dog getting
I
accused.
know,
It
poor
wasn't his
dog.
fault he got a name like that. That's probably when it was born, that's how it got named, anyway. Anyone want to talk about this poor puppy?
I
All
wish
those-
the puppy was here, but, I should say puppy, it was a hero service dog, but.
All
wish
those,
the
in-
dog was here.
all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay. All right. Next, we have we have no old business, which is kind of different. On the city commission terms of the planning commission, I know I first brought this to Benjamin after our last meeting, that, trying to keep in a 2-year cycle type of thing, how we do our organizational meetings. So this came up, and he found out that under the law, once you're appointed, you're there for, if you get appointed, it's your first year of your 4-year immediately after your 4-year term, you're there for 4 years, unless you want to quit. Or if you're to get there and you have 2 years left, you're there for the next 2 years. So if I understand this right, by
Yes.
state law, we need to change this ordinance anyway.
You do, yeah, just so, as you said, the planning commission seat tracks with the commissioner's elected term.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll just make the motion that amendment to the Traverse City Code of Ordinances, terms of city commission representative on the planning commission, section 1220.03, which would provide that the term of the city commission representatives on the planning commission follow their elected term, be introduced and scheduled for possible enactment on February 21st, 2023.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion to support. Anyone from the public like to address this? Seeing no one? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Mitch is eager to lock that one in.
Motion passes. Next, we have a recommendation to go into closed session for possible purchase of real property. This will take a roll call vote. See, I remembered it this time. I got this one down. Mhm. I've been thinking about this all weekend. Anyway, so anyhow, the motion is there. If someone would like, I think I'll read it tonight, and then one of you all can make it. That the city commission enter into closed session immediately following the public comment portion of the agenda to discuss the possible purchase of real property as allowed under the MCL 15.268 subsection D.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I made it. Who supported it? Mr. Wilson made the support. All those in favor of the motion, roll call vote.
Yes, and I'll just point out real quickly that there's no action anticipated once you.
That is
wrap up the
correct.
closed
No
session
action.
tonight. Commissioner Werner,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shamro.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Treadwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Colbert.
Yes.
And Mayor Lewis.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Was that your voice?
Yes. All right. Next, we have, it's time to begin the performance evaluations of both our city manager and city attorney. You see before you a recommendation as it relates to the performance review and outline how it will take place. And it's more or less the same outline we used last year. And just want to have a discussion if you're okay with it. If so, then we will have a motion to proceed with this. We also want to use the services of, I think we had it in
Yeah,
here.
Woody Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, Woody Smith. I think he did an excellent job for us last year. We'd like to recommend that we use his services
And he is
again
available,
this
correct?
year.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So with that, open up for any questions for Amy and I.
Well, I'll make the recommendation that the 2023 performance evaluation process for the city manager and city attorney as recommended by Mayor Richard I. Lewis and Mayor Pro Tem Amy Shamro as submitted with the official meeting materials for February 6, 2023 meeting of the city commission be approved.
Okay, we have a motion, a support from Mr. Wilson. Okay, anyone from the audience have any questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Boy, this is going pretty, this is too smooth. This is
You
starting
need
to
one
bother
every
me.
once in a while, Richard.
Okay.
Don't jinx it.
I'm not. Okay, we need an ad hoc committee to make recommendations regarding 4 appointments to the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee. And by the luck of the draw, we have Commissioner Colbert, Commissioner Treadwell, and Commissioner Wilson to be appointed to such a committee, with Commissioner Treadwell to lead this committee.
I'll make the motion that an ad hoc interview committee be established to make recommendations regarding 4 appointments to the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee, 4 seats expiring October 3rd, 2025, held by Nelson Asper, Michael Vickery, Kathleen Kasdorf, and Jamie Kidwell Bricks, and that Commissioners Colbert, Treadwell, and Wilson be appointed to such committee, with Commissioner Treadwell to serve as chair. Support. It's always nice when somebody from the committee supports it.
Yeah, I noticed you jumped in there pretty quick. That's good. All right. I'm sure no one really cares about that out there. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. The next ad hoc committee is going to be consideration of an interview ad hoc committee to make a recommendation regarding a mayoral appointment to the Traverse Area District Library. This is a mayoral appointment, so I'm automatically on this committee. But by the luck of the draw, Mayor Pro Tem Shamro, man, you are not getting very good on the draws here tonight. But you know, either you're lucky or unlucky. I'm going to go with the lucky part. And Commissioner Wilson.
Fine. I mean, I left for quite a while this winter.
Yeah, it's punishment.
I can be
It's
around.
not punishment. This is not punishment. Okay. Okay, we're glad to entertain a motion.
You make us make our.
Nobody wants to do this.
I'll make the motion that an ad hoc interview committee be established to make the recommendation regarding one appointment to the Traverse Area District Library, term expiring December 31st, 2026, seat previously held by Michael Vickery, and that Mayor Lewis, Mayor Pro Tem Amy Shamro, and Commissioner Wilson be appointed to such committee with Mayor Lewis as chair.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, you have some reports and announcements and correspondence attached. You may review. We have no reserved public comment. We'll open the floor now for general public comment.
This is where you get extra credit for class.
He is
We will
fibbing.
make sure you get 2 extra points if you have, no, that's okay. All right. Seeing none, is there any announcements from the mayor and the city commissioners? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, since everyone should be leaving after this, I don't know why you'd hang around, but, and because it's a short meeting, people might still be watching. I wanted to thank the DDA and the whole team that worked on the comedy festival this weekend. It was a real highlight to have something like that going on in the winter in general, but the comedians and the acts they brought up were excellent, incredibly diverse from around the country. Getting them here in February, many of them probably were tricked, but they enjoyed it anyways from what we're hearing. And I just hope that everybody, if you didn't make it this year, checks it out next year. It was a really top-notch event put on here. Even in the winter, we can do things even not in the summer and still have a really good time.
It was a win all the way around. When my husband and I walked home on Saturday night, downtown was just jumping, and every place was crowded, and there was so much energy there. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. No, you're too late now. You'll have to wait.
We can.
I may let you, but we'll see. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, just a reminder to ourselves and the public, under our traffic control orders, we had approval of a stop for pedestrian sign on Hall Street by the Beta Station. And the reminder is that those signs are extra. Whether or not the sign is there, our ordinance is the same. In a marked or signed crosswalk, we stop for pedestrians. And I bring that up because I've seen just recently on 8th Street, an individual halfway across the street at an intersection, and vehicles were not stopping still. And he was halfway across. It's not like, oh, he was afraid to step out. So you don't have to be at a place where it has that sign. You just have to be at a crosswalk that either has paint on the ground or a sign. And it's all the same. Those signs are just a reminder.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one other. Since we met last, there was another outstanding. The opening of Common Grounds a week ago, Saturday, was also an energy-filled, exciting moment for the city. I thought it was a wonderful event and a tremendous asset to our community.
Talk about the building over here?
Yeah.
Well, I missed that one. Okay, that's all right. Okay, with that, I want to also say congratulations to the Traverse Symphony Orchestra. They are going to be performing downtown. If they're anything close to what I got to hear Saturday night, it's going to be a great 3 concerts down there. So good job for them coming and opening that up. So also, because I won't be able to be there, I want to give a public thank you to for the Tribal 2% grant, which was going toward the help for our day shelters for the homelessness. There will be a presentation this Friday, and Amy, if you'll get with Marty, he'll be glad to give you the details. It starts at 9:30 out at the resort.
Can do.
Okay, so I can't be there because of a personal thing that just came up that I need to be at. So, but I will talk with you, Marty. I want to be able to get a note out to the tribal chief. So, okay. So with that, any other comments? Steve, I'm going to give you a small break, but instead of 3 minutes, you only get 1.5.
That's all. I'll be short. I'm good at that. Steve Larkin,
You have
Grand
never
Traverse
been less than
Conservation
5
District.
minutes.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank Kathleen Kasdorf for her service on the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee. Many, many, many years she served on the advisory committee and was an integral part of the update of this master plan. And I see that we have 3 returning potential members returning to the advisory committee, and then 1 new one, in that with being Steve Westfall, and I know worked with him just this past year, and he'd be a great addition. But I'd like to just say thank you to Kathleen for her service on the Brown Bridge Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. That was well worth it, Steve. Appreciate it. Okay. With that, we are going to go into closed session. I'm 99.9% assured that there will be no action taken afterwards. So there you go. Thank you.
Those kids got an incredibly short meal.
Yeah, oh, we'll sign papers now. If anybody goes, we'll sign papers now.
You hit the right
This is one of the quickest ones.
You hit the right one.
I forgot.
Most of these you would have been here for 2 hours.
Where are we going? Should we go over there?
I forgot.
What grade you in?
Thank you.
Okay, junior. What grade you in? Are you a junior?
I like that everybody Yeah. So the funny thing is that when we're sitting in the chambers in there, and the kids just like come up because it's in the horseshoe. But I feel like with this, they're like only going to a journey.
Are you okay?
No, I hit myself in the eye earlier, so it just randomly keeps watering.
On your way out, there may be some copies of
Mostly I thought.
agendas, if you want to take one to take back with your,
He reached out to me.
huh? Ivor, I-V-O-R. It's Welsh. It's Welsh. It's for an uncle I never did. It's for an uncle.
boat out there. Sorry, I was like. Well, or put those little. Because that's why it's on the air conditioner. If it's
Well, that's what I
hot day,
mean. That's
yeah.
the same thing. My little,
Living high.
well, I was saying 1/4 of a tractor trailer. No, they said, no, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I said, yeah.
No, it takes time, but the whole like commit to it, and okay, this is what's happening.
I like them.
That's an idea.
Is that you?
Well, that one looks like, that one looks good. Gotta get my. It's already, just had 21.
We have a quorum now?
Yeah.
We have a quorum now.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
There's no other business to have. I hereby declare this meeting adjourned. Unless y'all want to stay around.
Well, I think even if you did want to, certain people would miss instruction.
Our poor security guard wants to get home at some point tonight.